kind of see that as well. But I've also seen a lot of hate towards the person that was in charge of the change. You know, I was kind of
Brian Intihar, the director of Insomniac Games.
Because
or the director of the games. He's not director of Insomniac.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Because I saw fragmentation of tweets involving him saying, "Hey, I understand you may be passionate about this, and you may not like it."
Yeah, it's that death threat shit.
Yeah,
those,
right.
like fucking incel losers who come out and like just talk a bunch of shit.
Spider-Man isn't what he was before. It's not that big a deal.
But I agree with you. I think I think this change, he's losing a little bit of his identity and what made that version of him so unique with this, because he looks like Tom Holland a little bit, and
that was the other thing.
He's a little boyish and youngish, and I liked that this version of him looked a little older, and he, played a little older, and I think, part of that is, of course, Yuri's performance, him being a 50-year-old man.
Yeah. Which it's so easy to forget because he has such a youngish voice with the characters he voices.
He's got great control of his voice.
Yeah.
And he does youthful voices a lot. So when he's just talking, he sounds, like a grown adult man.
Right,
he does. But yeah, in all his performances, he skews down.
Yeah.
But he's great and he does a phenomenal job. And, I don't know, it's just weird, and I don't like it, and I personally preferred the other face more.
Mm-hmm. Now, all that being said, what are the chances of them changing it?
Changing it back?
Changing it back.
Zero.
Yeah. Now, this is just for the remastered for the PS5 version, correct?
Yeah.
That's what my
going forward, it's going to be this face.
It is.
I would bet. No, they haven't confirmed this. It's only for the remaster. But I would bet it's only this version.
But now, since they're obviously still developing the next Spider-Man game, and considering the outrage, that people have had towards this, and even beyond the outrage,
we also have
people
to wonder
is
he in Miles Morales?
That is true.
I would assume Peter Parker is in Miles Morales.
No, yeah, he's always mentoring him.
Yeah,
so
in which case it's going to be this new face. I assume.
I would assume so as well.
If not, what the fuck?
You know what the weirdest part is that they had the thought to change it in the first place. No one asked for it. No one said that. There's no negative reception to his face. It was just some executives thinking to themselves, "We got to capitalize on the Marvel movies."
It feels like some executive saying, "Hey, why doesn't he look like the movie guy?"
Yeah.
Some old head who doesn't understand or respect video games.
Yeah. Movies, though, those are good.
Those are the ideal source of media. But I mean, they gave the reason of this face matches Yuri's performance better with et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe that is a reason they did it. I just don't believe it is the reason they did it.
It seems kind of more work for them to just say, okay, we're going to have to design a new face for our protagonist.
Well, they photo scan somebody in, and then they just use that face.
Yeah, but even so, that's more work. And they, once again, no one complained about anything. Yeah. No one complained.
And also, we wouldn't have noticed. These are all things that you're telling us that you knew, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So, you could have just not. But,
So you mean just hide it?
If by chance I'm wrong, and this is just the creative decision that they wanted to go into, more power to them. It's their creation. They can do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. I just become concerned with the idea that this is not, there is something else happening, on the executive level. Because you're dealing with Marvel, and that means you're dealing with Disney.
Yes.
And
those are two things that I would never want to deal with in their position.
Even though the game branch of Marvel, I think, is trending upward. It is important to just know that, the bosses, don't respect this medium. Still, because we've seen what Disney does with video games. They treat it like an accessory item, something they can sell you with the whole, whatever their little Toys for Life thing that they did years ago that they canceled. You remember what I'm talking about?
Thankfully, no, because any outside thing of their movies that comes out of Marvel, I instantly just block out. Who cares? Well, obviously people do because they keep doing it, but it's just
they own a lot of the space, so you kind of have to pay at least a little bit of attention.
But I'll see it. I'll see the messages. I'll see tweets. I'll see articles, and they'll just scroll by. That's all you can really do with things like that. But
that's all you can really do.
Yeah.
So, but I'll say, still excited. I'm going to play the remaster, and I plan on platinuming it.
Might as well get another platinum in on that.
I've also seen you can see gameplay of like raw footage with like the 60 FPS and the ray tracing. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it looks so buttery smooth. I'm like, oh, I want to play that.
Yeah, well, you're just transitioning to a better console, so it's obviously going to have some pretty good,
Yeah.
It's going to just be improved.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of that in a bit on the show, and I think it's time to introduce the show, Connor.
Yes, introduce it. On which platforms?
Okay, so what's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 11. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hi to the people, Connor.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
And here on this show, we bring you the top trending news of the week in the gaming industry. We come to you with our 2 pennies, our 2 topics each, if you will, and give you our 2 cents on them. This week, I'm going to jump straight into it and start with my first penny, which is really an update to a story we covered a few weeks ago. In that, I gotta scroll. Epic's decision to bypass Apple's App Store policies were dishonest, says U.S. judge. This is an article from The Verge by James Vincent. A U.S. judge hearing arguments in Epic's antitrust lawsuit against Apple has criticized the game developer's decision to breach its contract with the iPhone maker by pushing a version of Fortnite with a custom payment system onto the App Store. The decision resulted in Apple removing Fortnite from the App Store. During a hearing on Monday with both companies, Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers of the United States District Court for the Northern District of California expressed skepticism about Epic's arguments, particularly its claim that it did not pose a security threat to Apple because it is a well-established company and partner. So a quick recap to anyone who is joining us now and didn't see the older episode, or to people who may have forgotten some of the details. Epic came out, changed some of their pricing and stuff in a way that violated Apple's App Store's policies, which then caused Apple to remove Fortnite from the App Store. Fortnite then sued, saying, hey, this is some antitrust stuff, this is some monopoly shit, like, hey, we're not cool with this, y'all are price gouging us, etc., etc., etc. This is a fight for the small developers, not just the big developers, which ensued in countersues, and Google got involved, and it's just a whole big lawsuit mess. This is an update to that, saying the judge, after initial hearings, is saying, hey, maybe not so much. So the quote comes in and says, you did something, you lied about it by omission, by not being forthcoming. That's the security issue. Rogers told Epic. According to a report from CNN, quote, there are a lot of people in the public who consider you guys heroes for what you guys did, but it's still not honest. The 3-hour hearing, which took place over Zoom, did not settle any of the open questions in Epic's ongoing antitrust lawsuit against Apple, including whether or not Fortnite will be allowed to return temporarily to the App Store. A decision on that issue is expected, quote, in the coming days. Judge Rogers did recommend, though, that the case be taken to a jury trial in July next year to settle these issues permanently. Quote, it is important enough to understand what real people think. Do these security issues concern people or not? So, as an immediate, how is this going? A quick temperature check. Looks like Epic is not, in the best light from the judge's perspective.
Yeah. Nothing really has been said on who is in the right and who is in the wrong, but just from the judge's comments alone, Epic seems, from a law standpoint, to be on the downward spiral to losing this whole entire lawsuit. Obviously, this is just initial hearings. Nothing
concrete yet.
Set.
Everything can go a different way. This take the judge has that, hey man, you knew the rules, you broke them. And he even later goes on and says, come on, and he uses a metaphor for walled gardens, and he says, walled gardens have existed for decades. Nintendo had a walled garden. Sony has a walled garden. Microsoft has had a walled garden. What Apple's doing is not much different. She's basically saying, yo, you know the rules. You broke them.
Yeah.
Like,
you agree to a contract and then you can't just break it.
Like, you're the ones lying. You're the ones being manipulative. And then now you're calling, wolf on this.
Yeah.
And, it's a little fishy. Whether or not Apple has antitrust is something else
up in the
entirely.
air, yeah. And whether you were actually somewhat justifiable in doing this because you are trying to, quote, help the little guys.
Yeah.
They've constantly said ever since this lawsuit began. It's kind of hard to, say anything absolute. But one thing
it's also... Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I do like is that they're going to let this go to jury trial because at the end of the day, I think that, more everyday people should decide whether this matters or not.
I think the people's decision should matter, or the people's input should matter a little bit in this case, as opposed to maybe some other big, tech-heavy, contract-heavy type cases that should be decided by professionals. Mm-hmm. That is slightly important. How are you feeling about this story so far as we've progressed a little bit?
I didn't. The take that we kind of both had is that they're just two big corporations going at it to try and see who can get the most amount of money out of the deal. Mm-hmm. But if, for example, I were to have a gun put to my head and said, choose one of these people that you'd rather support, it would be Epic Games solely because the trickle down of the fallout that could happen from this would help small developers, even if the main reason they're doing it isn't for those people, and they're just using that as a justification to get, the common, gamers onto their side on this lawsuit. I would, I guess, lukewarmly suggest that I would want them to win this case, but the judge does also make a good point. You signed a contract. It's there for you to see, and you broke it because you just wanted to make more money.
Yeah, and
that's the base of it.
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
It's, hey, it would be cool if, developers across the board, small, big, etc., could make a little more profit off of their work. But at the same time, there's a reason these rules were put in place. Is it price gouging? Maybe. Probably. But at the end of the day, you knew the rules,
Yeah.
And, you decided to jump off this cliff.
And when you
let's hope you had a parachute.
Yeah, well, let's hope you did. Because when you really just look back at the situation, all this is just centered around Fortnite. One of the most, high-earning games going on right now. And these people are the ones who are trying to get as much money out of a deal. So it is really scummy when you look at it from that perspective of what exactly this company is fighting for, which in this case being Fortnite. But
I mean, that's a big stick to swing, Fortnite.
Yes. Yes, very big.
Almost as big as your first topic, your first penny today, a topic I was surprised to see you pull out of your hat.
Oh, really?
Minecraft's Cliffs and Caves update to feature archaeology and exalts. What is that? Exalts? In 2021.
Geography majors, please help us out with what those things are.
Right? In the summer of 2021, Mojang will enhance Minecraft with an update called Caves and Cliffs. Caves and Cliffs has been a much-requested update, and it is a system that the developers have been quietly working on for some time. The developers are also integrating 2019 Minecon Live Biome Vote, where fans request an overhaul to mountains in the game. After the update, caves will be generated with much more variation and contrast, with features like waterfalls, cave lakes, and huge caverns. They'll have more variety, with lush caves, dripstone caves, crystal geodes, and other new environments. There will... there's a typo here. I think they mean to say there will be new blocks, like stalactites and stalagmites, a skull sensor that reacts to movements via redstone signals. Players will also have archaeology to keep them busy and can build items like a telescope. And there's a couple of other smaller things they're adding. All of this is coming to every version, crossplay, etc., etc., etc. Connor, why you don't play Minecraft?
No, I don't.
I dabble in the Minecraft.
Yeah.
I enjoy Minecraft. I love Minecraft. This update sounds cool. Why did you pick this as your topic today?
Well, two reasons. One is that you do dabble in Minecraft, and our friend group that we usually play with have been picking that up again.
Yeah.
They've been playing more Minecraft, and some of them apparently want me to get on, kind of, I think. I don't know.
We always want you to get on.
Yeah, but, that got me thinking, well, Minecraft is Minecraft. It's old. Everyone knows what it is, but it is a majorly big game, and it is a well-made game. I don't personally like it, But this is from far as I know, the first big update that's happened in a while. I don't know. I'm not up to date on all the Minecraft news.
Nah, big updates happen all the time.
Yeah, but this just honestly seemed pretty entertaining to me. It's a whole remapping of
definitely one of the bigger updates.
Yes. Because a lot of it's involving around mining, so obviously the areas you're going to go into are now going to be more varied, which is a problem that I had with Minecraft when I did play it, because it was just so samey of digging through blocks over and over and over again.
That was launch Xbox 360 version, which was very minimal.
That is my experience with Minecraft. So when I was playing it, I constantly just thought to myself, this isn't exciting to me. I like exploration, and Minecraft has a bit of that when you're going into these tunnels.
Oh my god, it's got so much more now.
It's so much more now, exactly.
In comparison to what
Maybe that's why I need to jump back on it. But I would constantly dig through these, mountains and these underground areas and just see block upon block upon block, lava maybe, some creatures to fight, and it got very samey and very boring. So an update like this, I can see it being, even enticing old players, if you can call me an old player, like myself, who, wanted more variation out of this kind of stuff. And it does seem that people are happy for it. People who have played Minecraft for years now are going to get a lot out of this update. And I felt that was pretty important to cover.
Okay, so what's the real reason you wanted to cover this?
That?
That?
That, yeah.
Really?
I have no other reason.
Oh, okay.
No other reason.
Not a certain crossover with Minecraft into one of your favorite games?
That was entirely circumstantial. It was entirely not. I know. It's believable to think that's the reason why, and I do actually kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
You want to talk about it?
I do want to talk about
it.
Okay,
so Steve, the character you play as in Minecraft is coming to Super Smash Brothers.
Yes,
which is a game you and I play a lot.
We'll probably play it later today, maybe even. Who knows?
Maybe a little bit. I'm gonna play some Hades today, so maybe.
Well, I got homework too, so it's probably good.
We'll squeeze in a few matches, probably.
Like 5.
But yeah, Steve is coming to Minecraft. I was in the middle of watching the developer update to get all the details on it, and when you finally showed up, and I don't know about you, but cool.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
Now, I would rather have a character that I like more as the new character.
Well, sure, but
it makes sense. Why
Minecraft,
they're doing
It's
this.
the biggest game of all time. So.
Yeah, one of the biggest games of all time.
No, it's the biggest.
I figured GTA 5 may have overtaken it by now.
Not even close.
Seriously?
Oh, not even close.
Even though it's been on the top 10 or
oh yeah,
GTA
5. GTA 5 sells a fuck ton, and it is one of the biggest games. Minecraft is the biggest.
Oh, okay. So
some will say Tetris is, but Tetris cheats and uses every version of Tetris that has ever come out.
Yeah,
as
right.
Tetris sales.
It is,
but
cheating.
No, Minecraft is
yeah, but
don't doubt the power of little kids, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Fortnite, Minecraft, they have a lot of bargaining power.
Well, Fortnite still doesn't hold a candle to what Minecraft does.
No, it doesn't.
We just don't talk about it.
No, exactly.
As much anymore because it's old news.
And it's saturated in everyone's mind. Like Minecraft, yeah, I know what that is, obviously. But he's unique, which is what I think a lot of people really wanted from a Smash Bros. Character. Now, obviously, you've seen... I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen lots of people get upset because it's Steve from Minecraft. That's so lame.
Yeah, I think that's childish.
It is, too. It's like, who cares that much? Well,
yeah,
a lot of people do, but...
These are people that obviously don't remember the times where we didn't get DLC characters. Like, the roster came out and that was it.
Yeah.
And until Brawl, it was all Nintendo characters.
Yeah.
And even then, Solid Snake was the only non-Nintendo character, and it was still Konami, so it's still Japanese. We're getting Western characters now. Like, Banjo's in this, and now Steve is coming, and, there's rumors upon rumors upon rumors of, Crash or somebody coming in later.
Speculation more
just
than
the fact
else,
that we could get literally anybody.
Yeah.
Joker from Persona's in the game. Cloud from Final Fantasy VII is in the game. These are crazy picks.
Yeah. And there's still more to come. It's not like this is the last one and okay, no one else gets anything else.
Exactly. So I'm I'm excited to see how Steve plays. I'm excited to try him out.
See Blocky Kirby? That's going to be pretty
and I'm still excited. That was from something else. That wasn't...
I thought they showed that recently. I
saw that got done somewhere else or something. Or maybe it was it's only a... It's not a skin. You can't play as it.
I saw, when he sucks up Steve and morphs into him. Kirby.
Oh, maybe I didn't.
Yeah,
see that.
He looked blocky, unless it was fake for some reason. It looked real, but
I don't know. Maybe I'm talking on my ass, but I thought it was
interesting.
Thought I had it. But speaking of talking out of your ass, Connor, I'm going to jump into my second topic of the day. My second penny, if you will.
Okay.
CyberPunk 2077 publisher orders 6-day weeks ahead of launch. This is from Bloomberg by Jason Schreier. Polish video game developer CD Projekt Red told employees on Monday that 6-day work weeks will be mandatory leading up to the November release of the highly anticipated CyberPunk 2077, re-edging on an earlier... What is this word? Reneging on an earlier promise to not force overtime on the project. Red, a subsidiary of Poland's biggest gaming company, CD Projekt SA, has been criticized previously for engaging in crunch, an industry term for excessive overtime in game development. The practice often lasts for weeks and can stretch out for months or even years. CD Projekt Red co-chief executive officer Marcin Iwinski last year told gaming website Kotaku that the company would be avoiding mandatory crunch and was committed to allowing employees to work without overtime. But an account from a CD Projekt Red employee recently, as well as an email to staff earlier this week, indicate that the company hasn't lived up to its word. The employee, who asked not to be named, discussing private information, said some staff had already been putting in nights and weekends for more than a year. In the email, CD Projekt Red studio head Adam Badowski wrote that he was optimistic about the state of Cyberpunk 2077, which stars Keanu Reeves, and that they had just sent the game to be certified for release on Sony Corp's PlayStation and Microsoft Corp's Xbox. Now, he wrote, it was time to fix the game's many lingering bugs and glitches. Quote, starting today, the entire studio is in overdrive, Badowski wrote, elaborating that this meant your typical amount of work and 1 day of the weekend. The extra work would be paid as required by Polish labor laws. Many other video game studios don't pay for overtime. I take it upon myself to receive the full backlash for the decision, he wrote. I know this is in direct opposition to what we've said about crunch. It is also in direct opposition to what I personally grew to believe a while back, that crunch should never be the answer. But we've extended all other possible means of navigating the situation. I want to start with this.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and be as respectful as possible, because I know very little about game development. And I know very little about the process of packaging a video game and sending it out and releasing it to the public. Speaking as a creative and someone who has worked on creative projects, I personally understand the perspective of being so passionate that you put in more hours than you're asked. And I think if you're doing that in the world of video games, and it could be classified as crunch, as long as it's all voluntary and your management team is watching carefully to make sure you're not burning yourself out or that you're not hurting yourself mentally or physically while doing it, I think it's okay. And as long as you're getting compensated for all this extra work. It's when the order comes down from up high to say, hey, we got to put in these extra hours, that it becomes a little bit of a different conversation. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you're passionate, you want it to be the best you can. And I personally would have the opinion of, hell yeah, like, let's do this, let's get the work done, let's make it fucking badass. That's me. That's not everybody. I've worked with people who don't have that mindset. I've worked with many people who need breaks, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what they need to put the best work in. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. When it comes to this story specifically, the simple solution would be delay the game. I think because they've already sent it in for certification to the consoles, publishers, I think that puts them at a bit of a corner, and they feel like maybe they're forced into working overtime and crunch and all of this. And it sounds like even though they're saying one thing, it sounds like it's been going on for a while anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I mostly leave this with, hey, whether it's good or bad is up to the people who are actually making it. They should be smart enough to know their own needs. But there's also something to be said about, every job, and I'm not saying this is good, every job has moments where you gotta put in a lot of fucking overtime. I'm currently working mad overtime every week at my job.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. I don't love it. And I wish it was different for this case. But there were other jobs where, I have no issue working overtime. And this is kind of the tricky balance that you have to figure out. But overall, it sucks that they went back on their word and they said, hey, we're not doing crunch, and now you're crunching. I hope by the end of it, it's worth it for the people who make it.
That is really what matters at the end of the day. Obviously, it's important they get the product out and they give it to the people they've been promising it to, especially this game. It's been, announced and delayed and all that for years.
Development a long time.
Yes.
It's worth saying that, hey, delaying this game may not be an option financially.
Yes.
It may not. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Now, that leaves the question, are they doing this because they really have no other option, or are they doing this because they want to still make the most amount of money possible? Once again, it's pretty hard to tell that.
I think them submitting the game for certification is the leading
I think so as
purpose for them doing this.
Yeah, which kind of makes me upset, because now you're like, well, you're extending it this much, and you've been working people overtime, and you still thought it was a good idea.
Now you're making it mandatory overtime.
Yes. That's the big thing. Okay, first of all, the good things to take away from this. They are getting compensated for their work. So it's not like other things you have happening.
That's great. You have to ask, would they if the laws weren't there, though?
Well, exactly. Well, that's where it comes down to.
And are they getting paid time and a half for their overtime, or are they just getting paid normal?
Yeah. I think they're getting paid overtime. I know there's, obviously Polish labor laws, and they're, generally a lot better than here in the U.S.
Through this article real quick. Keep going.
Through it. Yeah, but it really is stressing to know that this has been going on for over a year. Yeah, I can understand them deciding, okay, we can't delay it anymore, and we just need people to work overtime for the next couple of weeks. Not good, but once again, like you are, I'm not in the know on how all this stuff works and how individual people feel about putting in the overtime to put out a good product. Mm-hmm. But I find it really inexcusable when you do that for a year prior to that, for over a year. Because you're no longer, restrained by the certification that they sent in, or the day that you say the game is going to come out. You had all that time, before you even announced when the game was going to be released, to sort all that out and to make sure that you're not going to be demanding the most out of your workers to the point where it can actually cause them problems.
Let me jump in real quick here.
Yes.
It says, in a post on Twitter Wednesday, Badowski said CD Projekt employees can continue to count on bonus payouts amounting to 10% of the company's annual profit. This could prove to be a lucrative sum, as analysts estimate the Warsaw-based company's net income will rise 11-fold to 2 billion zloty, which equates to about 520 million American, in 2020. CD Projekt has 1,079 employees at the end of June.
Yeah, I remember seeing a bit of that. But thanks
so
for
yeah, so that it and there's also more quotes from people in charge saying, "Hey, we're trying our best to make it humane. Mm-hmm. We don't have answers to this problem, and we feel like we're in a corner." I'm gonna fall on the side of the creatives every time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If they want to work these hours, let them work these hours.
If they don't,
and it's harmful to them, don't force them to. It's when you force them to do something that is nasty to me.
Yes.
And I'm not fucking with that at all.
But the thing is that obviously you said you worked overtime. How tough is it? Recently, that is. How tough is it to have one day off to yourself? If that's something that you have to do with your current job.
Well, this situation is different because my one day off is this show.
Yeah.
Which I love to do, and it's not work in the sense of like work.
Yeah.
It's work, but it's not like work. It's cool work.
Yes.
It also like this this takes up, we record for an hour and a half. I edit and post it, and that takes maybe another hour. Getting all the news stories together maybe takes another hour.
If we hadn't done it the entire
all
week.
in all,
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours of work? Not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
That math doesn't add up. It's actually 3 or 4. Never mind.
Better.
So, it's not like a day off per se, but like it's practically a day off. Is that rough having one to yourself? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A second one would make a world of difference.
Yeah.
But I still get time to recharge batteries, and
For that one day.
and that's important. So then putting in these 6 hour or these 6 day work weeks, that's taxing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're working longer hours than I'm working.
That is the other issue.
I go in for my 5, 6, 7 hour shift and then I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Them probably not so much, especially in COVID times where their work is in their house.
Yeah.
And some people have difficulty managing, putting work away.
Yeah.
When they aren't in a separate location from it.
I speak from experience in working and doing online classes entirely right now. It can be very difficult when you're so easily distracted by the smallest things. At least I am.
It's that also they get distracted by the work.
Yes. They also,
they don't have a healthy work environment, or in terms of like managing time. So they'll work way more than they usually do.
Yeah.
Because they don't clock out and leave.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how does this make you feel in relation to CyberPunk?
You mean as whether I'll buy it or not?
In terms, are you still gung ho supporting it? Are you still
the game?
Do you feel any reluctance in supporting it because you don't want to, support these practices or anything? Or
no, because at the end of the day, they have put work into this. I've seen the people who created the game. They're obviously excited about the game.
1,000 people.
They're like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if the game is not bought,
they lose jobs.
Yes, and one of the things they're relying on is, we're also going to be doing better as a company with the release of this game, which, considering it's Cyberpunk 2077, one of the biggest games coming out this year, I don't really have any misgivings that's not going to be the case.
Cyberpunk and Last of Us are the hugest games of the year.
It's going to make money if people buy it, and if people don't buy it, then part of the reason why they're trying to justify this crunch, even if it's not sincere, is going to be null and void because they're not going to be making the money they thought they were.
Yeah.
So they're going to be ending up getting less payback for the work that they did.
All these projects are big investments that need to pay off.
Yes. You see, issues, especially over here in the U.S., like what happened with Gearbox, where the employees were promised a bonus after Borderlands 3 came out. Exactly. So, obviously they have way better labor laws in relation to this kind of stuff. So I don't have any, bad thoughts that they won't get that money and they won't see it. But this isn't just a blanket statement, a blanket issue, because if it were to happen in the U.S., I would feel a little bit iffy about getting this game support.
I'll say CD Projekt Red has bought enough, I'll call it insurance with me. They're a very consumer-centric company, and they make a lot of pro-consumer moves to where, okay, you've bought yourself a little leeway with this. Let's not jump to any crazy conclusions. Treat your employees as good or even better than you treat your customers. And if it's just, hey, it came down to the wire, this sucks, and we have to do it. Okay, I can understand that, but
yeah.
Let's work on improving it, which it sounds like they are.
It seems like they're doing the best that they've done.
But it's worth saying there's a lot of other game devs and a lot of other publishers that aren't as vocal about this. And the fact that they're even vocal about it and saying, hey, sorry, we tried. Yeah, this fucking sucks. Yeah, we know we said that earlier and it didn't pan out the way.
Yeah, that is true.
That says a lot to me.
Yeah. But also consider that the reason we know about this is because an anonymous source came to Jason Schreier and said, this is what's happening. Please don't tell the people who I am. So
well, of course.
It's still,
you lose your job if you do that.
Yeah, exactly. But it still took some other guy to come. Like, they obviously could have said this without actually having a source leak it.
They publicly said.
They responded to it, which is,
No, they publicly said in an email Well, I guess that went out to the company, but it's not a. That.
Oh, is that
email? Yeah, that email went to Schreier as well.
Ah, I see. Okay, so they were more forthcoming than I thought they were. That doesn't make sense now that I think about it.
So, but anyways,
I
best of luck to
those
of CD Projekt. Let's hope that everything works out for the best for them.
I do hope this leads to future games being released, to do things differently.
Does this make you worry about the quality of CyberPunk at all?
Not really, no.
No?
I don't think it will.
Still think we're getting,
yeah,
top tier contender for Game of the Year?
I think we are, but I'm more worried, going back to the workers again, that they don't learn from this experience. Because, they did the reveal trailer for CyberPunk all those years ago. If they didn't do that, could they have had a better time to just get things under wraps to where they didn't have to make, crunch happen?
Maybe. I doubt it.
Or show less.
I think this is an intrinsic problem in this industry and in most industries because crunch exists. We only just talk. For some reason, video games is the only one where we talk about it.
Yeah.
I think this is an intrinsic problem that is difficult to solve.
Yeah.
And especially when you're working at that level, because that's a lot of people.
Yes.
And it's a lot of money. When you're working at that level, any misstep or any wrong direction takes a toll. It's a heavy hit.
Yeah.
So it's hard to balance that at that level. But, we can hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
On an off note, how do you think this game will compare to other CD Projekt Red games?
Well, that's kind of hard to say.
Specifically Witcher 3.
Yeah, well, I was assuming that was in my mind. Because obviously...
Witcher 3 is clearly their best game that they've put out so far.
Cyberpunk 2077, I'm calling it right now, is going to be better than 1 and 2 of The Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just... obviously there's story elements and stuff like that could just completely fail with Cyberpunk 2077. Sure. But...
Mechanically, that game is going to...
Mechanically,
there's not even a conversation.
No, not even at all. So, in comparison to Witcher 3, my answer would be, yeah. I think this is as ambitious as The Witcher 3 was and as much stuff there is in there to just, be in awe of, it seems like Cyberpunk is going to have just more ambitious things that they're doing with it.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this. It's smaller than Witcher 3.
It
sizably
is.
Smaller.
Yes.
In length and in scope.
Yeah.
But they did that for the purpose of replayability.
Mm-hmm.
So you choose your path in the beginning of one of 3 paths. Those 3 paths are supposedly very distinct. So you can replay this game a bunch of times.
Now, I did hear that the story is only slightly shorter than Witcher.
I heard it was like 10 hours shorter or something.
Really?
Am I wrong by that?
I
mean, Witcher 3 is 50 plus hours long, so you're still in for a meaty RPG.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. But do I think it's going to be better than The Witcher 3? Yeah, I think it might. I think I might enjoy it more. I think there's more there for me to sit down and play than in The Witcher 3.
That's weird, because Witcher's more of your aesthetic than...
That's the thing I keep thinking about, because
Cyberpunk's more my jam.
It is sci-fi, futuristic
sci-fi
stuff,
shit. Yeah,
versus
I love it.
fantasy stuff.
Yeah,
I pretty much always choose the fantasy stuff over the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah,
with a few exceptions. And for some reason, just Cyberpunk has always gotten me excited, mainly because I have more full control over what my character does. Whereas in The Witcher 3, it's a predetermined character, established character, especially, not just a individual who you have to play as.
You can manipulate him a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's Geralt, and you can't.
Yes, and Cyberpunk is a new area. Witcher 3, there was that weird thing about how choices in the past could impact the third game. I didn't play the first 2 games, so I don't know. I can't remember what my control over that was. I'm pretty sure
there's in the sequence in the beginning when you meet the Emperor for the first time, which, depending on how long you spent in that first segment, could be in an hour or in 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment where you sit down and somebody just asks you, hey, what did you do in this moment? What did you do in this moment? What did you do in this moment?
I remember that now. But that holds a lot less impact than actually doing it.
I also felt like the choices made because the choices made in the first game are pretty much thrown out the window in the second game.
Yeah, I knew about that.
It's really your choices in 2 that matter.
Yes.
And there are overarching, world things that happen, in terms of politically who's on top right now. But in terms of narrative story, it doesn't really change that much. In terms of Geralt's story, series story, it doesn't change that much. It's just the context of everything around it that can change.
Which I put a lot of stock into. I like having a control over that if it gives me the option to.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, I do remember that sequence.
Yeah.
And
in terms of the personal stakes and the ending of who Geralt ends up with, series fate, etc. All of those questions are pretty much asked and answered in Witcher 3.
Yeah.
And your choices in that game.
But it really comes down to the question, is it as much of your experience if you didn't play the old games? Like Mass Effect, imagine not having any control over the first, second, and third game. The first, second game.
Oh yeah, you can't play
Mass
Effect 3 without playing 1 and 2.
No, yeah. That's why I played them before
Especially
Mass Effect 2 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of Witcher 3, I have this overall. I love The Witcher as a series and as a franchise. I have this criticism of there is no good jumping in point.
No.
It doesn't matter where you jump in, you're going to be lost. You jump into the books, you're going to be lost until you catch up. If you jump into the games, you're going to be lost until you catch up. You jump into the TV show, you're going to be lost until you catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Not
the highest.
I think the TV show is probably the best jump in point, but like still not good. And then followed right behind that is probably just jump straight into Witcher 3.
Yeah.
And then I would say, don't bother with all the fucking side quests. Just, because I would say just main path that fucking story. Like, learn to love the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then go back if you want and learn to love the world.
Yeah, that may have been my issue because I really put the main story off a lot when I was playing that game.
And you shouldn't do that, especially because the way the Witcher 3 experience system works, it rewards you for doing story more than it does the other side.
Yes.
Like you'll get crumbs of experience off of the side missions, and then the main missions will just give you truckloads of experience.
Yeah.
So they want you to play the story. They also want you to branch off and do other things.
That's why I put it there. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a balance between people who know what's happening and people who don't so much know what's happening. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and jump into our final penny. Your second penny of the day, which is EA Play comes to Game Pass in November. Now, this is an article from GameSpot.com written by Steve Watts. Microsoft recently announced that its Xbox Game Pass service will be adding EA Play this holiday, giving a notable boost to the value of the subscription service. Now, it has put an exact date on the addition, confirming it will come to the console version of Xbox Game Pass right alongside the new Xbox Series X and Series S on November 10th. In the new announcement, Microsoft also noted that in December, you'll be able to use the EA Play subscription on Windows PC with your Game Pass PC or Game Pass Ultimate subscription. You'll also be able to play many of them on Android devices via Xbox's xCloud streaming service. So this is cool.
Yeah, more stuff.
Now, we really the story here is the date.
Yeah.
Because we've known EA Play was coming to Game Pass for a while now.
Yeah, but now it's officially been decided.
But this is also in tandem with the Xbox Series X preview kits that went out to influencers and to media and journalists, et cetera, et cetera.
Saw Greg Miller got one. And
Greg Miller, the Ilana Pierces, the IGNs got them of the world, and they've been trying it. And they're all embargoed to hell, so they can't talk about a whole lot. But it's a lot of conversations of, the instant loading is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Being able to quit a game, play another game, and then jump back to the first game and leave off exactly where you left off, or pick it up exactly where you left off. It's dope.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. So it sounds like the Series X is going to be a badass console.
Yeah, it
which
seems
is
like
great.
It's effective.
Any of this news push you into wanting to buy a Series X?
At the end of the day, I have the PC.
You have the PC and everything's on PC?
Yeah.
Why would you buy a Series X
exactly.
if you have a PC?
Now, obviously, the ZeniMax requirement may... We were debating whether...
We're still getting it on PC, though.
I know, but like my PC's kind of older. I don't know if I'll be able to...
Oh, you should upgrade your shit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, which is what I'll probably do, but I don't know if it's going to solely make it to where it's on PC and Xbox.
Now, in terms of the
Bethesda
games, you have time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So I have an instant investment or a quicker investment with a PS5 than I would get with an Xbox Series X.
Because, we want to play them Spider-Mans and that Deathloop, and we'll see if Ghostwire Tokyo comes out, and it is dope. It'll come out, but we'll see if it's dope.
Yeah.
But this is just continuing the conversation of, like, just how Xbox is just kicking ass in the lead up to this new console launch. They're every week there's something new to say about Xbox. You know, they're keeping you in your mind, or they're keeping them in your mind rather, and you know, there's nothing bad you can say.
Yeah, they just keep you know, coming with the punches, and the value that they've gotten out of their console so far, or presented for their console so far, before anything even comes out, is just ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Like, they don't even have a killer game yet, and they're still like, we're going to do that.
Now, we've talked about how stupid the idea and how dead the idea is of the console war, about, you know, consoles just going at it.
That's children.
But if you're comparing, you know, from the viewpoint of the next console, exactly.
We can still compare.
So comparing that with, remember we talked about how failed the presentation for the PlayStation 5 was. You know, they had the pre-order mess ups.
It was messy.
Yes, it was very, very messy.
I'm not going to say failed. It was messy.
Messy. That's a better one. But you know, compare that to with Xbox's stuff. I mean, even if you have the better games coming out from the get-go, you know, new games coming out from the get-go on PlayStation 5, everything else surrounding that is just kind of messy.
It's also like there's no messiness, there's no outstanding questions. Like, it's hey, will my game work on your console? Yeah. And then when you ask PlayStation that same question, it's we'll see. To which I go, what?
It's almost a no in my mind.
How do you not know this? Yeah, so they're kicking ass. I hope they continue to kick ass.
At the current rate,
they haven't given me a reason to buy a Series X, but they've given many reasons for me to jump into Game Pass.
Yeah,
they're really putting everything behind I can see myself, especially when new Bethesda titles start coming out. I'm gonna jump into that. Into that Game Pass, baby.
Now, what do you think the chance? Like, usually we consider, like, when it comes to the power that they have, you know, these two consoles, we automatically think they're the same. Now, do you think that there's a chance?
I think it's already shown that PS5 is more powerful.
Is it more powerful? I was
based
curious.
off of stats they've given. I mean, well, neither of us are tech heads, so we don't really know what we're talking about when we talk about this. But I'm pretty sure the PS5 is going to be a more powerful console.
Okay.
But the Series X is built to play everything from the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Like, launch. It's supposed to be backwards and forwards compatible now.
Yeah.
So they're taking a more PC model route with it.
Mm-hmm. And this is more of a worry about video games coming out. But do you think there might be any technical problems with either of these consoles? You know, they're obviously coming out
I'm sure
greater than they were before.
Listen, Elder Scrolls 6, you probably don't want to play that on your launch Xbox One.
No.
That's probably not a great idea. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds.
So am I.
This is great. This is a great time to be.
Yeah, I won't unfortunately be able to buy either one of these things for a while, but when I get the chance to, you know, I'll see which one I may actually like.
They'll let me pre-order. I will pre-order a PS5 at launch, but they won't let me pre-order.
They will not let you pre-order. No.
So yeah, we'll see.
And that's that.
That's that. So Connor.
Yeah.
What have you been playing this week?
Once again, not many new video games that I've been playing, you know, Overwatch, Valorant, stuff like that. Okay. The one new game that I jumped back into was Breath of the Wild.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I never beat the game because when it comes to exploration,
it's boring.
No, it's actually very fun.
It's a very boring game.
Going back to the conversation we had with The Witcher 3, exploration, doing side quests is something that I do a lot.
Which is so much more rewarding in Witcher 3 than it is in Breath of the Wild.
No, it's not.
Continue.
No, it's not. Exploration is the point of Breath of the Wild. So when you have a game built around
it's the only thing that game does well.
When you build, I'm ignoring. When you build the entire game around that, I can't beat the story yet because I'm just always like, oh look, I haven't been to this area. Oh, there's a maze. I can go get that. Oh, there's a shrine. Gotta go get the shrine. Gotta go fight these.
My problem is I feel like I've been to every area in Breath of the Wild, and I'm still underpowered. I still don't know what my objectives are. I still don't. I only found one beast.
See, you gotta find them. I found 3 of them. I know where the 4th one is and how.
But when I'm just running in circles, that's not fun. I'm bored.
I'm mapping it out. I'm like an explorer. Like, okay, I need to go over here for this and that and blah blah blah. And I'm powered. You know, maybe I'm just a better video gamer than you are.
You might be.
Possibly.
You might be. How many platinum trophies do you have?
Oh, okay. That's the okay. Yeah, that was your defense, huh? I'm a platinum gamer. I can I can put hours into my life.
Don't be mad just because I'm a more elite gamer.
Oh, elite gamer, is that what they call it? Not everything has
that big 50. You're looking at what, 2, and one of them is a Telltale game.
Imagine a scenario. Well, I actually didn't even get a Telltale game.
No, you got the Tales from the Borderlands. You're missing the Batman one.
I did, yeah.
Even though you played Batman, but
Yeah.
for some reason it didn't give you it.
Now, if that were to fail, the trophy system, like for some, bullshit reason,
Yeah.
all that progress would be gone, and all your work would have been for nothing. All of it hinges on this one thing. To decide whether you're a pro gamer or not.
I mean,
is that really something you're comfortable with?
It's not going anywhere for anytime soon. So
what if it does? And then you'll be just left in the wind. And
someone
I'll be
just accidentally deletes everything?
Yeah, and then I'll be off in the distance saying, I'm good at Breath of the Wild, and you're not.
It'd be very disappointing. It'd be disappointing. It'd be a sad day. Anyway,
Yeah.
so why Breath of the Wild?
Well, I've been playing a lot of PC, and a lot of the games I've kind of hit a wall with the PC. I still enjoy playing it, but a lot of the games that I have to play there are all multiplayer games. And my issue with multiplayer games have always been, even when I'm playing with friends, is after a while I'm going to be wanting more of an individual play experience, which is to say something with a story, something with a single player, that doesn't revolve around playing with other players. Especially because that stuff can get me more annoyed sometimes, with things like Overwatch and Valorant.
Sure.
So, Breath of the Wild was one of the games I need to beat, and I love it. I was deciding between either that, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or Ghost of Tsushima, which neither of us have beat. And I just kind of let Breath of the Wild come out on top, because I was feeling the emotion that I get from that game of the sense of traveling, which is something that I really enjoy, and that led me to go to Breath of the Wild, which is why I'm playing it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Now, that's what I've been playing. What about you?
Mostly a lot more Hades.
Yes.
It's still phenomenal. That game, the way that game unravels its narrative to you is super creative and super cool, and it's really dope. Mm-hmm. Roguelike games typically don't have great narratives. This one does, which is awesome. Especially since, like the gameplay is enough of a package alone. They didn't need to have these dope characters with all this interactivity in it and stuff. So it's cool that I have it all. I'm making progress in it. I've yet to complete a run just because I haven't been able to play as much as I'd like of it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's always in my mind. I'm always like, man, I could just be playing Hades right now.
An issue that I've told you about in the past is that when I plan on playing a game, or I am in the process of playing a game, my YouTube recommendations will all of a sudden be filled with spoilers from that game, for some reason. Now, the day that I left, after we had first talked about Hades, and I actually played a little bit of it, I started getting that stuff in my YouTube feed. And I was like, wait, there's actually
Big Brother's listening to us.
Yeah, right? And I saw a narrative in the game being displayed through these clips on YouTube, and I was like, wow, there actually is a story? Like, I was surprised. I thought after a while, from what I played of the game, with all these interactions I was having, eventually it was going to hit just a dead wall, and it was just going to be like saying the same thing over and over and over again.
No.
But apparently, like, every single time you fail, you
there
go back.
are unique responses to damn near everything.
Yeah.
Like, and it's even like, if you hit a certain narrative beat, but your relationship with characters are at different levels, they'll tell you different things.
Yeah.
In response to that narrative beat. For example, the first real boss in the game is your ex-girlfriend. And depending on how you've been interacting with her reaction changes when you get to other parts of the game and you meet other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking fascinating. But and it's really, oh my god, it's just good.
Yeah.
It's just good. It's all well written. It's all well acted. I do wish they do like the JRPG thing that when someone talks, their character portrait comes up and then it's the text box.
Yeah.
But it's all voice acted. Everything is voice acted. Even like the exposition has a narrator voice actor. Mm-hmm. That Zagreus, the main character, breaks the fourth wall and responds to.
Well, I'm always a big fan of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be like Zagreus is traveling in the demented land of hate, and he goes, "What? I'm doing what?"
I'm just traveling in my hometown. That's where I'm going.
But I do wish when the character portrait came up, I wish it was a little animated, just a little bit, like just a moving mouth or some more expressions, anything like Persona 5 style or anything like that. Unfortunately, it's not.
Some flair to those portraits.
Just have some flavor into all that.
Yeah.
But that's such a minor gripe, and it's the only gripe I have.
Yeah.
Like I just can't. I don't know. Like, it's all really good.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain weapons I like more than others, but that doesn't mean the weapon is bad. Like, I just don't, I don't like the machine gun that much. But I do like the spear.
Yeah.
The spear is
good.
badass.
A lot of different weapons in that game, huh? Or the trident?
I think I found all the weapons. I think I've found them all.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Be more to
So
play.
there's 6, I want to say. 6 or 7. There might be more later. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you aware of the boss fights? All of them?
No.
You know?
No.
See what surprises you're in for.
I'm stuck on one.
Oh, which one's that?
I'm stuck. It's a Minotaur and an Olympian hero. They double team you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've gotten really close several times. But also, Connor, they switch it up a little bit. Sometimes some boss fights are not the same.
Oh, really?
Sometimes they're not the same. Sometimes it's different characters in those boss fights. And they'll play similarly, but they'll play just a little different. That caught me by surprise, and it's been a while since I've gotten to the Minotaur and the hero boss fight, because I keep getting caught up in these other boss fights where I'm like, oh man, this is different, and then I'll get killed, and I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah, oh my god, this game is so good. Other than that, I think I touched Galaxy a little bit, just did a couple more things, nothing real big there to talk about. But I started playing Star Wars Squadrons.
Yes, that new game.
Put maybe 2 hours into it, so very preliminary thoughts. This is it's basically a flight simulator, but Star Wars. Very good, very well made. Not quite sure yet if it's my cup of tea. And also, I'm already seeing that maybe amount of content might be an issue. As far as I can see, there's only really 2 modes.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it is surprisingly deep. You can customize. There's a bunch of like cosmetic customizations for this character that you never see.
Yeah.
But there's also like you can go in and you can select different types of fighters, and you can customize their weapons and their cosmetics and their loadouts and all of this stuff. It's super deep. Mm-hmm. On top of that, just the core gameplay is deep in itself. You're balancing. You can balance your power between your weapons, your engines, or your shields. So one of the tip things that come up in loading screens is, hey, if you go into a battle, start with with power focused on your shields, because when you switching power to shields mid battle is not going to do anything for you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting little tip. So I did that, and I was like, oh, I'm lasting way longer. Now that does mean my guns overheat faster, and it takes longer for them to recharge when they do overheat, so I have to, balance all that. There's also a setting where, hey, it's just even power between them all, which is a nice, little thing to have. And it's all quick button prompts, so I can do it on the fly real quick. You can also, with your shields, you can focus shields to the front of the hull, the back of the hull, or surrounding your ship entirely. So, if you're like, man, this fucker's chasing me, I'm just trying to shoot down this guy. Let me just throw my shields to the back so that I don't have to worry about that as much, and he'll have a harder time killing me so that I can get this kill. Really, really good. Really, really fun. Really satisfying when you get a kill, too.
Yeah, I'm assuming kills take a long time to actually get.
They can.
Mm-hmm.
They can.
Dodging and weaving.
Yeah. So it's way deeper than I was expecting it to be. It's obviously built off the bones of the Battlefront 2 space flying gameplay. But it's way deeper, it's way more polished, and it's pretty fucking solid. So nice. I'm gonna play some more. Don't know how much more I'm going to play. The story, there's a story mode. Jumped in, seems pretty generic.
Only thing I've heard of that game.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting things that are happening, but for the most part, they're trying to keep you in the gameplay of the flight sim. They're not trying to keep you out. Also, when you're navigating menus, it feels like a VR game.
Okay.
So I think this was supposed to be a VR only game that they ripped out and made it a console game as well.
Star Wars Squadrons does sound like it would be a VR game.
Yeah,
just from the title alone.
But you can play it entirely in VR. Which is dope. I really wish I had a VR headset so that I could do that, because oh my god, I would be nerding out.
Yeah, I'm surprised you were. I mean, I'm not surprised you got it because it is a Star Wars game, but I'm surprised it actually had to get you interested in the first place, outside of just being a Star Wars game.
I mean, reviews came out and they were, pretty positive, and I was like, okay, well, let me give it a shot. Mm-hmm. And I'm giving it a shot, and I'm not immediately turned off.
That's good.
So that's a good sign. Who knows how much it'll keep me? I may not even speak about it again on the podcast. So
yeah.
Who knows? I think that's about it for what I've been playing, Connor.
Yeah.
And with that, let's just go ahead and close out the show.
Just click off. Bye.
Have a good week.